Thank you all for joining us this evening at the third annual BIREEM Awards celebration for LebNet. And I'd like to wish you all happy holidays. I'm George Akiki, president and co-founder of LebNet. It is such a joy to meet all of you virtually over wine or soft drinks. So hopefully everyone has their glasses ready and some snacks maybe to go with. Let's celebrate 2021. And before I go over a few LebNet accomplishments, not a lot, we won't bore you. I want to share with you some positively impactful changes that happened this year. So I stepped down as full-time CEO in March after ensuring that Janine would accept the role of executive director. And God, things have really been different since. The energy level has gone through the roof, and LebNet and new member engagements are growing by leaps and bounds. So you can clap, but not too loud, please, as I don't have a thick skin.
Thank you. Thank you so much, George.
Second, our communications lead in Lebanon, Rain Farhat, welcomed her first baby this year and came back to work very quickly after that blessed event. We're thrilled with her family expansion. And third, the LebNet board decided to implement a very aggressive refresh plan of the board, whereby members of the board will resign in an orderly fashion to cede more seats to the younger generation and place the organizational reins where they belong in the hands of the new generation to come. So this is something we'll talk about, but we're very excited about that. I think it's about time. So now onto some...
And I was the first victim of that.
He was the initiator, actually.
I was the initiator of that,
So now onto some accomplishments this year. Maybe if you want to go to the next slide. Let's go over it. Yeah, you want to go through them? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Just as George said, this has been an amazing year this year with a lot of accomplishments. Certainly on the jobs for Lebanon, from an internship standpoint and job creation, we have been very active. We've had 23 internships and 10 students hired in Lebanon, 40 plus new jobs created by LebNet members. And can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. And we also did some startup coaching and financing as well. From a members event standpoint, we did quite a few webinars, networking events. The New York community did their first face-to-face networking event, and it was attended by over 60 people. We continue to feature our members with expert voices. We did the Women in Tech interviews, and we're graced by Rola Dagher, who's on the line with us here tonight, receiving an award. We also introduced the first podcast series, Brothers Talking Tech, and we are doing this expanded awards event for our members recognition. On the community side, we have the Women in Tech community, the Early in Career community. They both have been very active, and we have a new steering committee for San Diego and New York, and I'm very excited about new communities that will be announced in 2022. On the partnership side, we continue expanding our university partnerships with LAU, AUB, USG, and we're going to continue on doing more and more programs with them, both on the mentorship side as well as participating in lectures and webinars on their end. And last but not least, Alib Lebanon was incubated by Sarjoun Skaf, a member of LebNet. And we have adopted 64 families in Lebanon in this past year. LebNet's focus for 2022, certainly we will continue to have communities and members featured. We continue to do special events to energize, engage, and grow our membership. We're focused on automating the mentorship program. This is an initiative that's led by the Women in Technology in collaboration with Early in Career. The Women in Tech leader, Layar Rouhana, is helping us port an application from Illumina to LebNet that she herself spearheaded. On the internship side, we're launching our 2022 internship season, and we're looking for companies interested in listing opportunities with LebNet. And we're expanding our partnerships. Beirut Digital District is right now, we're talking to them, and we have an MOU that we're going to start working on with them. Fundraising, we are focused on increasing the subscriptions because we need to do that in order to increase our impact. So we've done some progress in 2021, and that's going to continue to be a focus in 2022. And last but not least, attempt to reignite LebNet Ignite throughout this year. So with that said,
let me this is great, Janine. All thanks to you, seriously.
George, we can't hear you.
This is all thanks to you. We can't thank you enough, really. Those are great.
It's been my pleasure.
Yes. Now the time has come to introduce a couple of close friends. Angie and Jill Butros, owners of...
George, we can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Move the wine glass away from the mic.
I want to introduce Naji and Jill Butros, owners of Chateau Bellevue in Hamdoun, Lebanon. I refer to Naji as a Renaissance man, and I am confident you will agree once you hear him speak through that segment. Without further ado, I give you Naji and Jill.
Thank you, thank you. Look, before Naji starts talking, because I know how that's going to go, he has so much to say and so many wonderful things to share. If you'll allow me, I would like just to add a title and a subtitle to his talk and to our discussion about the wine in our project. I would call it Follow Your Dreams and Don't Be Afraid. And it doesn't matter where you actually end up, but the path getting there has value. And that's what we have come to understand really deeply in the last 25 years of our planning and our work here in Lebanon. So I would like to introduce you to my husband, the one-of-a-kind Naji Butros.
Oh, come on. Thank you, Jill. Ahla wasahla. Thank you to LebNet, really. You guys are amazing. And I'm Jeeps in English, I guess. I talk about you all the time. And what a wonderful thing it is for us in Lebanon to have LebNet. Just last night, I was with a French volunteer in Lebanon, came to spend Christmas here in a soup kitchen, and it's beautiful. Anyhow, she says, follow your dream. So I met Jill in 1988 at Notre Dame when she was singing the Ave Maria at the cathedral, and I fell in love with her before she even met me. So we met a few weeks later at a bar called Chi-Chi's, and she denies this, but she gave me a hug that I felt was a hug that was calling me. So I didn't sleep that night. I went to her dorm room at 2:30 in the morning, and I woke her up, and we walked all over campus until the early morning hours.
I swear we only walked.
So it's been wonderful since then. I joined Merrill Lynch right after Stanford, and I went to Stanford to do my master's in business and technology. And then we got married in New York after I joined Merrill Lynch, and we moved to London, where I was an investment banker for almost 11 years, focused on different sectors. But maybe before that.
Yeah, those of us who have a glass of wine, and I have to admit this is the first time I've done a tasting with English breakfast, but you'll have to excuse me, due to
English
the hour.
breakfast tea.
If you have your wine in front of you, then let's pour some Petit Geste, the white blend of Sauvignon Blanc and Viognier, and we'll sip that while Naji's talking. Just a tiny bit of background about that wine. We grow Petit Geste in very small quantities, so the wine that you have is really special. Only 1,000 bottles of that were made. And it's from 2019. It's a blend of Sauvignon Blanc and Viognier. We take whatever comes out of our vineyards. The vineyards are organic and sustainable in every way possible that we can make. And also notably, anyone who's familiar with Hamdoun and the area here, Hamdoun was always known for vineyards. This was the reputation of the village. So when Naji and I came 20 odd years ago and started planting grapes, we weren't doing something new. We were only building on the, you know, the possibilities that had been planted for hundreds of years here in the village, except that we decided to make wine. So in terms of the white wine that you're drinking today, you will notice just by looking at it, the clarity, in the glass, it's clear and bright. In the nose, you're going to find it fresh, maybe some hints of mimosa, some anise. And then as you sip it and enjoy it, I think the overall impression will be the best of summer days. So it's going to take you back to the freshness and the beauty of summer. And we love that about our wine. It's been a pleasure to make wine in the old ways using heritage farming practices and have the product be the result, you know, like what you're tasting tonight. That's all I'm allowed to say. We're going to move on to the rest of the journey.
Okay. So where was I? So back to end of 99, I was working really hard as an investment banker, nonstop, as you can imagine, as all of you do, by the way. And one day I was in Milan in front of the Duomo. I used to go to Milan almost once a week. And I look at the Duomo and I'm like, I've never been inside. So despite the fact I had been living in Europe for 10 years and go very often to Milan, I decided to go inside. So I opened the door and I was pulled to the altar. And I raise my eyes and I see the cedar of Lebanon on the altar. And I rub my eyes and it was truly on the altar. I go out and I bring my colleagues and they come in because our office was in front of the Duomo. And it said on it, Citus Cedrus de Libanon, like the cedar of Lebanon, with 2 olive groves, olive branches. So I go out and I called Jill and I said, hey, Jill, I have an idea. I have a beautiful idea. How about I leave my job, and I was running a big division in investment banking at Merrill Lynch in London. How about I leave my job and we go to Lebanon? And there was silence on the line. Here was an American woman visited by her mother.
Very happy in London. You know, we had already had 3 children. The 4th was on the way. But to be fair, when Naji and I married, he was very clear. He said, if there's ever an opportunity for me to go back and help in my village, I'm going to want to do it. And, you know, at 23, 24 years old, I was like, I love you. Wow. Yes, absolutely. And then that moment came and I wanted to support him. The other benefits were that we could raise our children close to some of our family anyway. And that, you know, we could be in an environment where you actually can touch the earth. You know, we have land, we have fruit trees, we have vines, etc.
So she had her mother, my mother-in-law was visiting us and it was clearly not what she expected. She wanted us to go back to the States. So we moved back to Lebanon. So I resigned. I won't get into the professional side, but my boss came from London. We resigned. I moved to Lebanon and we bought this house that we're in that was owned by a Qatari. It's a historic house because my family house was destroyed. There was nothing left. And I wanted Jill to experience, the old Lebanese homes. So we bought this house and, we were the only people here.
We doubled the size of the population with our 4 kids. Hamdoun suddenly grew exponentially.
So we put our daughter Lauren at the local school. There were 34 kids at the local Sainte Famille, 34 kids. But people, just the mere fact of us being here, people took a lot of courage in that. Jill and Naji أمريكانية هو شاغل مع ميري لينش أكيد عنده contacts أكيد for sure he represents the CIA or I don't know what, he's backed by I don't know what and all that stuff. So we moved to Hamdoun, and oh boy, it was so much joy. I mean, for me, nonstop, every day, car, plane, all that stuff, to come back here and to sync with the nature of Lebanon. And the nature of Lebanon sinks you. It resets you. Everything comes at a certain time. And I'm not talking about the small geopolitics things that you don't pay attention to when you're up in the mountains. I'm talking about the flocks of birds who come in the spring from Africa to Europe. I'm talking about the fall when they come from Europe to Africa and they fly over our homes. I'm talking about the cats who are meowing in February when they're mating. And it's the most beautiful display of nature that all of a sudden you pay attention to and you say, oh, wow, this is us. We're part of nature. We're not against nature. We're with the grain of nature. It works so well. So what we did at the time, I'm like, okay, I gotta do something, because after 6 months of carrying my mountain bike and up and down in the valley and all that stuff, I got a phone call from the mayor and he's like, Estez Naji, there is a plot of land for sale. It's a good vineyard. It used to be a good vineyard. And so flashback, when the Hamdounis were kicked out of here, their land was sold. I should say they sold their land. You can imagine being away from your home for 10 years and living in a garage in Beirut. These guys needed cash, so they sold their lands to non-Hamdounis, and all of a sudden we came to Hamdoun. Hamdoun was occupied at the time by the Syrian army, and we're living here, and so it wasn't really stable, and people started selling, and for whatever reason, I decided, we've got money, we have to start buying land. So we started buying land and really looking after vineyards. And what we did at the time, all we did was we opened a map. And if the map said on it, remember, the maps of Hamdoun are old French cadastral maps. So if the plot of land said on the cadastral map, which is hundreds of years old, if it said on it, olive groves or grapes, we bought the land. We never went to a person, all came to us. So we were in the world of a financier, market makers here.
So basically, we started off with 3 plots of land belonging to Naji's family. We planted those with grapes in April of 2000. And after that, Hamdouni started coming to us, especially the Hamdounis abroad, who didn't have the opportunity to do something themselves. They said, Naji, look, my grandfather's land is just sitting there. Why don't you plant it? So over the course of a couple of decades, we went from those original 3 plots of land to 130 something plots of land and about 60 acres in total. And it's been, measured progress year by year. Every year we plant, every year we grow a little bit. We plant olive trees, we plant fig trees. So this is the Lebanese version of Johnny Appleseed here. But at the same time, it's protected valley. So Hamdoun is so close to Beirut. There was really a threat of development, cement taking over in the valley that had always been vineyards and agriculture. And so I think if there's anything, there are a few things that we're proud of having done, but for sure, one of the main points is that we've been able to keep development out of the valley. The valley is green today and it's organic.
So we started Bellevue by planting in 2000, and we started a technology company here because all these guys, my childhood friends, by then they had kids, their kids, some of them were grown, we're older, we're like, age to start working. And we started bringing professors to Hamdoun and teaching kids how to program. Back in 2000, we started a company called Mixasi Digital. And if you, I don't even know if it exists anymore, but Mixasi for the grape Sese, which is a local grape from Hamdoun, known for making good arak. And Mixasi Digital grew, we had about 23 people. And it was an outsourcer. So we used to outsource, people used to outsource their work to us. And it was maybe the first technology startup in Lebanon in 2000. And then it spun out several companies. One was in the sports data. After about 3 years, I realized my heart in Hamdoun was really in the grapes. So I was approached by a company out of Dubai called Interactive Technologies, which was owned by Deutsche Bank, and they were programmers. And I sold Mixasi to Interactive Digital, and I focused on the grapes. But the first vintage. So the first vintage in 2003. Jill and I are in the valley at 5 in the morning. So Janine, not even 4:30. So 5 in the morning. We were in the valley, and I'm with a man called Joseph, who is a legend by himself, who became the vineyard manager. And please do some research on Joseph to know how he joined us. He was just a typical Lebanese donor of his heart, who said, these are the keys to my shop. I don't need anything, but you're turning Hamdoun green, and I want to be with you. So I'm with Joseph in the valley, and we're waiting for people. I'm like, Joseph, where is everybody? It's 5:30 in the morning. We're waiting for people who are supposed to come and join us harvest. It's the first harvest. And he said, Ma ta'tal ham, don't worry. Nadaht as-sawt. I raised the call for help. And all of a sudden, I see people of all ages, all walks of life, start coming down the valley. And they joined us. And we were done. Within an hour, we had completed our first harvest. And it was beautiful. And then we went to Joseph and start having our celebration harvest, which was supposed to be lunch, became breakfast, malay, nay, and all the typical Lebanese delicacies. And there were many of us. And one beautiful sentence left in our book was, Cœur uni, main unie, le Dieu bénit le vin de vie. It was beautiful. It was so representative of this new wine that we refer to as La Renaissance, because you know why we called it La Renaissance now. So,
speaking of La Renaissance, it's time for wine number 2. So all of you who've got wines in front of you, please go ahead and pour yourself a portion of La Renaissance 2011. I want to emphasize the 2011 because that's a really important part of our story. The wines that we are growing, we are not able to turn them around and sell them within a few years. They absolutely require to be, obviously we use new French oak for a couple of years, and then afterwards we keep them for as long as possible with us in the cellar until before sale. So the 2011 wines until September of this year were our current release wine. We just released the 2012s. But I put that together in the 3-pack because I wanted you to have access to a 10-year-old wine, which is still showing, as you're going to see as you hold up your glass, in terms of its color, the intensity of the tannins, the fruitiness. It's all there. I mean, the grapes that we are able to grow in this valley, there's a reason why they did grapes in Hamdoun. And honestly, the best decision we made about the ways that we could impact the community have to do with the choice to make wine. Because not only did that give our family an identity, it's also created an identity for the village. But the Renaissance was the beginning of that. It's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. It tends to fall a little heavier on the Merlot side because that's what we get out of our valley. And it's what you would call a Bordeaux style blend. For us, these grapes in this wine are grown between about 1,000 meters and 1,200 meters of altitude on the valley, ranging from southwest all the way around to northeast. So you've got the opportunity for a lot of complexity between differences in altitude, differences in soil quality, even the amount of snowfall, rainfall, et cetera, that we're able to get here might vary from, depending on the vineyards. Ruby red, beautiful color, length in the mouth like you won't find in very many wines. And this is actually a wine that has a lot of time ahead. So despite the fact that it's 10 years old, when you drink it, you know, with your friends, or you're serving it at Christmas or whatever you're going to do, we recommend decanting and give it as much, you know, give it as much time to evolve as possible, but you can also cellar it for many years.
But you know what, as we grew the grapes, the vines, and as we made the wine, for me, at the beginning, it was, hey, I'm now alive again, because honestly, I wasn't working very hard in the States and in London. And at the same time, what I didn't say is when I left Merrill Lynch and I moved to Hamdoun, one day I get a phone call, and it was my best client at Merrill Lynch. I was their advisor, their banker. So Tom Barrack, who is the chairman, was the chairman at the time of Colony Capital, which is a large private equity investment firm. He came here, he's like, what the heck are you doing? What's in your mind? I wanted to see Hamdoun, and look, you're living in a ghost town. And what do you see in this place? So he came with his daughter, Jody, and we had lunch at our home. And really, literally, there was nobody in this place, nobody. This was just after we moved. And I remember exactly what Jill served at lunch. It was a beautiful, simple lunch. And it was Tom and Jody at our home. But what he didn't see was the seeds. For me, it was the seeds of hope. That's what I was planting. And it was, for me, it was, I had always felt guilty of leaving and not being one of those who perished here. In a way, they were my friends. And for me, I felt like I was giving back Lebanon, and I truly felt good about what I was doing. So I took him in the vineyards. We saw the vineyards, and he's like, out of your mind, you're out of your mind. There's nothing in your head. You know, wine is about romance. Wine is about, that sells itself. Bordeaux, Bourgogne. But what you sell in Lebanon, you know. So needless to say, he didn't see it. And we were blessed. I still feel until this day, we were blessed. And one of the best blessings was the family. So I joined Colony at the time while being in Lebanon. And I was one of the global partners. And, you know, I was occasionally, you know, in Los Angeles, and we were investing in various companies, and it was all good. It was all good. And then one day I felt I needed to devote more time to Lebanon. So I started doing more things in Lebanon. It wasn't enough for me to face the trouble of Hamdoun, and there were so many trouble. But as if you keep your vision and your objective in perspective, everything is so small, you know, everything. The troubles we had of really many troubles, from people like threatening to uproot the vineyards because they thought we wanted to play a geopolitical role, and then you embrace them and you feed them and you teach them. And people say, but how can you do this to our enemies? And you say, that's the right thing to do. And they become your friends, and then they defend you. You know, it's been a journey like this, and it's a wonderful journey. But I realize we're running short on time. So you want to say a couple of words on Le Chateau?
Okay. The third wine is called Le Chateau. We make it in very small quantities because the bulk of our vineyards goes into Renaissance. It's the Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot. But Le Chateau for me is a really special blend. The one grape that I specifically requested that we plant is Cabernet Franc. It's one of my personal favorites. And so my Cabernet Franc goes into the Le Chateau blend. Every year, Diana, the winemaker, and I go through and we taste every barrel individually. We identify the ones that are absolute favorites, and those are the ones that we ultimately bring together to create this blend. So in the 2011 year, it's Cabernet Franc, of course, Syrah, and a bit of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, 10% of each of those. We make it in smaller quantities. People will say, well, which is your best wine? And honestly, it's like picking amongst your children, which is something we would never do, obviously. If my son Philippe is on the line, I do love you the most, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah,
So,
No, I'm sorry. What was that about not knowing your favorite child?
Yeah. Let's move on. So Le Chateau 2011. It's a blend of those 4 grapes, again, aged for as long as possible, and 2 years in new French oak, organic agricultural projects. The most important part of our vineyard work, and probably the most difficult, is to farm without irrigation, so dry farming. And as you know, most of you are aware, it does not rain in Lebanon in the summertime. So from April through just a couple of weeks ago, we had no rain at all, right? That means that the grape berries that we are producing are small. They're about the size of chickpeas. And so you're seeing the intensity of color in the glass and the concentration of the wine. That's a result of the small size, the high altitude, thick skin, etc. It all comes together to create what. Sorry. Yeah. So
Naji, you're muted. Naji, you're muted.
there we go. Better?
So just a couple of words. So while I am supposed to talk more about my professional path, so so I spent some time with Colony. In the meantime, I was investing in Lebanese companies. Then I left Colony. I expanded my reach. We invested in various companies in Lebanon and around the world. And one of the investments, which is a wonderful investment for me, was to join Steve Wozniak in his education venture. And we are teaching about 300 children now in Lebanon in cybersecurity, data science, for free. They don't have to pay anything. And they're in remote parts of Lebanon. I also, I chair a seed incubator in Lebanon, which is called Nucleus Ventures, which has incubated about 85 companies. And also the CEO is in New York and is a member of LebNet. But look, for me, my heart is here. This is what gives me my balance. It's in Lebanon. It's in the vineyards. And I can't talk much about my professional life because you are all stars. But what I can say is follow the signs and stick to your objective. Don't worry about the noise, but put an objective that is far ahead, not just a one-year objective. And align yourself with people that are friends, people that keep, promoting you and give you good vibes. And make sure you go home to a house that is welcoming and warm, like this wonderful lady has provided for us. I mean, and Bellevue wouldn't be here if it were not for Jill. I mean, that's the honest truth is it's easy for me to plant grapes. It's easy for me to look after our flock of sheep and donkeys that looks after the wines too, but in reality, Jill is the real star of Chateau Bellevue, because for me, it was, hey, I have to do this. It's like a responsibility to restore the identity and the heritage of Hamdoun. Okay, to bring it back to where it used to be several hundred years ago, and even in my childhood. Okay, to stop the cruel destruction of the vineyards and turning them into big homes and that have no soul. Because Lebanon is all about soul. Lebanon is not just about a place; it's about soul. And I found it here. I mean, I work in around the world because I need to make money to support the venture here. But this is where our soul and our heart is. And I think maybe we've said a lot, don't you?
We've said a lot. We appreciate that you all invited us to join you today. And obviously what you're doing is so important and so special. If one more thing, if I can add, we have just started doing Christmas deliveries of wine to families and friends in Lebanon. So I'll send Janine some information if anybody wants, to add to the joy of your family's Christmas and send them some wine. We're organizing those deliveries now. So.
And if you have any questions.
Does anybody have any questions
George, we can't hear you.
I can't hear.
Any questions to Naji or Jill?
So a question that, and full disclosure, I'm Philippe, I'm their son, but a question that for my friends in the room have been asking is why do you guys do blends and not pick just a single varietal and sort of like release a Cabernet Franc, release a Cabernet Sauvignon?
Philippe, first of all, the old world tradition is the blend. But that's not really what motivates us is, you know how the project grew organically, right? So the first year we only made 3,000 bottles. So we didn't have enough of one kind to make a commercially viable wine. So we had to blend it. But in reality, over time, we realized that the cépages complement each other. And I like to refer to our wine, our delicious wine, as a beautiful person, as a beautiful woman. You know, it's not about the spine, it's not about a face, it's not about the arms, it's about the entire thing. And wine is like that. Cabernet Sauvignon provides the structure. The Merlot provides the la rondeur, the rounding. You know, the rounding you say?
This is all you, I don't know.
So that's the reality. It's, for me, that's what adds to the complexity of the wine, is the cépages. That's what adds to the dream, you know. So, yeah.
Thank you for the question.
I have a question.
Yeah, but we have the wine in Jordan. It's going to be at 13C, which is the best wine bar in Jordan.
Thank you. That was my question. Where do I get it? Thank you so much. Guys, listen, I'm in San Francisco, by the way. And thank you so much for LebNet to start with, George, Uli, and everybody. And then thank you guys for waking up at 4 in the morning to do this.
Oh, we do that. I have to go to the sheep and the cows and everything. So.
You know, we're in a different mood than you are. You're having English breakfast. We're having your beautiful wine, by the way. It's really, cheers.
Yeah.
Afikra, it's very, very, very
Yeah,
good. First time we
is.
try it. The white and the two reds are phenomenal. Thank you, guys. It's a fantastic job. Please send us the link because we have a lot of friends in Lebanon that we would like to send wine to for Christmas. Please do.
For sure.
We
Thank
will.
you.
Thank you.
Naji, when you will get the acceptance with the SAQ in Quebec, Montreal, because we don't have your wine here and we would love to have it.
Look, we would love to be in Canada. We've been approached occasionally, but I guess it's a tender system. Most recently in Ontario, there's one that approached us. So we will get there, but I don't know how. We should take this offline and figure out if we can collaborate, yes. I mean, we're very selective about where our wines are, you know. It's because we have such a small quantity, although we have 240,000 meters of land, we only make 24,000 bottles. So that's 1/10 the yield of Bordeaux Premier Grand Cru.
Yeah, so of the wines that you enjoyed tonight, I mentioned Petit Geste is 1,000 bottles, and the Chateau is usually around 3,000 bottles, and the Renaissance might be 15. You know, so we're talking very small quantities, and it's, you know, when you send them out into the world, you want to make sure that they're going to be appreciated, right? So we've got a little wine club in the US. We've got a nice, some beautiful restaurants, Michelin star in London and across the US as well. So we're just careful about where they go. It's like sending your children out into the world. You want them to thrive and you want them to be loved and appreciated. So, you know, we're giving them the best of Pamdoun, and the identity that I mentioned, it's coming from people in the world appreciating, you know, all we have to do is turn those grapes into wine, right? It's almost, there's so little outside influence. It's all about the grapes. And the fact that we're able to grow such amazing fruit year after year after year is not to give us credit at all. We're only custodians of the valley and trying to do our best with what we've been given.
True.
Bill and Naji, thank you so much. This has been extremely, it really overexceeded our expectations. Thank you. Now you all know why we love them. Oh, okay. Sorry. One more question from George Chammas.
Not a question, but just sharing. First of all,
amazing. You guys make us so proud. And you know, it's just talk about dreams. You're living the dream. So I was at the dinner on Sunday, I think it was. No, Saturday, with a the very prominent private equity person who invests in you know, first world-class wineries. And I brought Le Petit Geste with me, and I had it blind. You know, basically I covered the bottle. So I said, I want you to try. And he always knows that, you know, I bring nice wine. So he's you know, tasting, and he says, this is amazing. What is it? I said, well, it's wine from the village where I spent my best times of my lifetime, you know, the summers. He said, what? Is this from Lebanon? I said, yeah, specifically from Hamdoun. By the way, I did not know the blend, Naji. I knew it was probably
Sauvignon.
It was Sauvignon Blanc, and there was something else, but I wasn't sure. But it was for sure not, because he knows Muzar, you know, and he knows other wines, and he said, so I mean, he knows his wines, and I had the sommelier also taste it. Bottom line, it was very vibrant, like you guys described it, and it's just a pleasure. It was a pleasure to have it. So hopefully, Naji, we will and Jill will have you soon in San Francisco, so we can do an event. Hopefully, the spring will see the more opening and less restrictions in terms of travel. And I will also make it. I want to make it also my part of my responsibility to spread the word and encourage the imports of Lebanese products. So this is something that I will look forward to working with you guys and hopefully make it happen, inshallah, in the spring of 2022.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
George, you've been an incredible supporter. Thank you. And if I may just add very quickly, Petit Geste, which will be released now, the 2020, the team tells me, which is again 1,000 and some bottles. Our winemaker was at Le Fleuve. She says it's the best white wine she's ever drunk in her entire life.
So,
why don't you? Is there a reason why you don't have the blend on the back?
sometimes we do. I mean, I write our labels. So if I have space to put the blend, I will do that. But, you know, we typically put it in the tasting notes or the technical sheet, which I can obviously send. I'll make sure Janine has them so everybody has access to them. Yeah, it's got all the vineyard and management information data and the tasting notes as well.
Yeah,
so
no, it's not for me. I'm thinking for the American consumer. You know, they're accustomed to seeing something more about the product. That's the only reason why I'm mentioning it.
Noted. Thank you.
Okay. So
George is
he is
George, we can't hear you.
Sorry?
We can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Okay, Janine, take it from here.
All right. Well, Naji and Jill, you are all heart and soul. Thank you so much for joining us this early in the morning and for holding down the fort for all of us. We hope to join you someday. With that, we're going to turn it over to our award presentation. And we're starting with Rola Daghib to be presented by Abdo Qadifa.
Thank you, Janine. First, I want, Naji and Jill, I want to tell you a quick story. So I'll take 1 minute, not more on it. Exactly 2 years ago, we were in London at the Salmon Club. It's a nice restaurant close to Westminster Abbey. And, you know, so the wine list came in and I told the guy, what do you recommend? And he looks at me, he gives me your wine. And I said, are you sure? He said, yes, because, you know, it's been very, very popular recently. And if you remember, Naji, I sent you a text at that time. So wonderful to see this. With that, I want to introduce Rola Daghib for the Executive of the Year Award, the BIREEM Award. Janine gave me 5 minutes, but frankly, if I look at Rola and her accomplishments, I might need 50 minutes instead of 5 minutes to go through what she has achieved. You definitely are a pride for us for LebNet. The award recognizes a tech executive with the leadership skills in mid to large organizations. So I will basically qualify Dell at least a large organization, if not more. And with positive benefits, not just for shareholders, but for social impact. And you fulfilled all these elements to the award. As I mentioned, Rola right now is a global channel head for Dell Technologies. For us who are the old timers, we remember Dell Direct a long time ago. But building a channel organizations with Dell Direct is unique, and clearly having you work for Michael Dell is not an easy task. So I commend you for your achievement in that regard. Prior to Dell, Rola was the president of Cisco Canada, and before that, she also worked at Bell Canada and at Dell also. So a long experience in the systems and telecommunication sector. Rola has a proven sales and channel champion and organization and experience and capabilities, and that's why she's at where she is today. More importantly, in addition to her professional accomplishment, the human element and the social element are as important, if not more important. You believe in the diversity of thought, in empowerment, especially women empowerment. That is, in 2020, you were the top 25 women of influence. You were nominated as Canada's most powerful woman, the top 100. And also by Women in Communications and Technology as the 2019 Woman of the Year. Also, she was selected by RBC as a top 25 Canadian immigrant winner for 2019. And she was also named by our Lebanese embassy in Canada as a Lady of the Cedar. And she also took the leadership in 2018 of the Lebanese Chamber Business of Commerce. In addition to these areas of diversity and inclusion, Rola also has a lot of interest and provides a lot of support on the healthcare side, both in terms of the cancer side and she's the co-founder there of the Black North Initiative, as well as on the mental health element. And so Rola sits on the foundation board of the Center of Addiction and Mental Health. And she also sits on the advisory board of Catalyst, where she supports the work to accelerate progress for women in the workplace and is a member of the Kids Help Phone board also. Rola, I don't know how you find the time to do all of this. We are very impressed, and we want to, again, thank you and award you the BIREEM Award for the Executive of the Year from LebNet. And with that, please provide us with your perspective on things.
Oh, thank you, Abdul. But let me add, you missed my biggest accomplishment outside of my two beautiful kids, Stephanie and Michael. Stephanie's 33, Michael's 28, is my biggest accomplishment yet, is raising $55 million for the Lebanese Beirut explosion a year and a half ago. So that was amazing. And no matter how much you achieve, giving back to our beloved Lebanon is absolutely the warmest thing and the best successful thing I've ever done in my career. So thank you. Naji and Jill, they want off camera. So I don't know if you could hear me or if you guys disconnected, but I wanted to give you the biggest compliment in the world is you are the Lebanese screaming eagle. So just so you know, I don't drink wine. I received your wine and my kids are like, oh my God, wine from Lebanon, that's amazing. But all I know in my sales career, when we took clients out for dinner, and if they ordered Screaming Eagle, everybody will be like, holy shit, who's paying the bill? Because that was the most expensive wine. And by far, your story is so inspirational. And I will call you the Lebanese Screaming Eagles. And I think you put Screaming Eagles to shame. So thank you for sharing your story, because every story is an inspiration to others. So thank you. And you guys are blessed. You guys are grateful. So you guys are grateful for giving back and for everything that you've done, which is so nice to hear. And let me just begin by saying thank you. Janine, you have a permanent smile on your face that I absolutely love. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. And thank you for the entire LebNet for giving me the opportunity. And I'm honored. And also congratulations to the amazing winners, because I'm just one story amongst all the Lebanese stories that came out of Lebanon. They forced us out of Lebanon, but they could never force Lebanon out of us. So rest assured. So Naji and Jill, I salute you for going back. I'm still thinking my strategy of going back, but with the shit show that's happening now with COVID, I don't think we'll be back anytime soon. But let me just begin by saying no one achieves success and greatness on their own. So for me, I am as good as the daughter that my father has raised out of, the 6 daughters he had in our town. He was looked at the poor man, haram, عنده 6 بنات, شو بده يعمل فيهم? And I always remind people, girls are the biggest gift in every family that you will ever have, because raising a girl and a daughter will take care of you. I tell you, I have one of each, and they're both downstairs listening to me now. And I could tell you, my daughter takes care of me way more than my son, and I adore him to death. So I am as good as my family, as good as my community, as good as my community, and as good as my team. Because to me, no matter how much success I achieved in my life and my journey, I always get up on stage and call myself first and introduce myself. I am the proudest Lebanese you will ever meet. And I am the most grateful Canadian you will also meet, because what Canada has offered people like me and people like Fadi, I think he's Canadian too, the opportunity to be where we are today. But let me begin by saying, to me, today, by the way, is my birthday, and I'm celebrating 51 years of my birthday. And I decided to actually, spend the evening with my kids, my 2 amazing kids, and with my team all day today, doing an all hands for 26,000 people. And Abdo, I have to salute you for knowing a little bit about the Dell Direct model and the channel, and it's a great story. But I have to say, I'm celebrating my birthday tonight with you, because normally I crash at 5 o'clock at night because I'm suffering from long COVID. I have been suffering from long COVID for 14 months. Imagine living COVID every day for the last 14 months of your life. I go from high energy to being on the plane 24/7, just seeing my family on the weekend, to not being able to make it out of bed. And as I speak with emotion, you'll hear it in my voice, because that's the effect of COVID, where it had debilitized me on so many levels. But I'm grateful for every day that I'm standing and I'm able to get out of bed. So bear with me here. It's because you'll hear my voice a little bit scratchier. It's just the effect of COVID. But today I started my day at 8 o'clock in the morning addressing 26,000 people on my team, because it's the end of the year, it's the holidays and quarter results. And I started by a quote by Gibran Khalil Gibran. And that quote is, kindness is like snow that beautifies everything that actually touches and it covers. And I I actually watched a little bit of the Buttress family's video, but I didn't know. Normally, I wing my speeches. I never write anything. And even when my team tried to write something and keep me on script, I get off script because that's not who I am. I'm just a Lebanese. We don't stick to rules. That's who we are. But I have to say that I told my team today that today, and as we wrap up the year in another year of COVID, is kindness cost us nothing. It is absolutely free. And it's absolutely the most beautiful things, as Gibran Khalil Gibran stated years and years ago, back in the valleys and the beautiful mountains of Lebanon. But the reason why I want to apply this today, especially tonight after hearing Naji and Jill's story, is no matter how big your title is, and no matter what you chase in life, and no matter how big is your home is in your bank account and what kind of fancy car you drive. And we as Lebanese, we're driven by that. It's like the more we get, the more we want and need, and, you know, the prestige. But I will tell you what I've learned in the last 14 months in my illness is no one will remember you by your car or your house or your bank account, but everyone will remember you by your kindness and by how you made them feel and how you've inspired them. And tonight, more than ever, that applies to my life and to all of you. So I sit here and I tell you this because tonight my son laid next to me in bed with my daughter and we were talking about life chat. And my son said to me, Mom, if I tell you on your birthday, I want to give you a gift where you can read my personal notes that I write to myself. And he said, promise me not to delete and not to be the Lebanese mom and freak out and start yelling. I said, no, Michael, please help me. I'll read and I won't touch your phone. You read it out loud. And part of the conversation, 3 things came out, is what money buys you. And 3 things, and I said to Michael, 3 things that money will never buy you, Habibi, is health, happiness, and respect. And he said, I'll argue that with you because as Lebanese, I tell you that, hey, money can buy a lot of respect. I said, money buys fear, does not buy you respect. And today, I would like to tell you all how I feel about, you know, more than ever, your health is your wealth. We earn respect in life. And what inspires me the most is the respect that you've all given me, my Lebanese community, the inspiration I get from stories like the Buttress family, and I continue to get inspired. And as my father always tells me, the world needs more of you, Rola. You know, بيقول لي بالعربي مثل الله خلقك وكسر القالب بتضيع عنا ما فيش كتير مثلك. But I have to say the one thing that sticks with me all the time is, you know, what the رضا الله ورضا الوالدين. I'm sorry for the people that don't speak Arabic, but Naji, please translate to Jill. And I'm sure she knows a lot of the Lebanese words now, but I would say my father has always said that to me. And that's why I'm blessed in my life is الأرض تطلع لك والسما تنزل لك. And all I could tell you that also my father has taught me that life is a gift. Life is an opportunity for us to make the best of it. And today, more than ever, I make the best out of what life has given me, just like Naji and Jill. So thank you very much. Congratulations to all. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and happy New Year from my family to all of yours. Thank you.
Well, kind, unforgettable, passionate, and inspiring. That's who you are, Rola Dagher. Congratulations and thank you. So now we turn over to Shadi Daya to be presented by Layad Ruhana.
Thank you, Janine. Good evening, everyone. My name is Layad Ruhana. I am a technical leader in process development for DNA sequencing technology. I'm based in San Diego, and I currently serve as the chair of the LebNet Women in Tech Community. It is a pleasure and honor of mine to present LebNet Barim Award for Technologist of the Year to a dear friend and a fellow LebNet San Diego community lead, Professor Shadi Daya, who also happens to come from the Bekaa Valley, just like me. So we are neighbors also in Lebanon. Shadi is a professor at University of California, San Diego at the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. And he is the principal investigator of the Integrated Electronics and Biointerfaces Lab. The Technologist of the Year Award recognizes exceptional technical accomplishments recognized within the peer community with tangible impact on the advancement of technology and or science. And Professor Daya is very well deserving of this honor, given his impactful work in improving epilepsy treatment. Shadi and his team were awarded this year a grant from the National Institute of Health for over $12 million to continue a 7-year journey in helping to beat drug-resistant epilepsy through the development of a new generation of wireless diagnostic and therapeutic brain implants. His research has led to the incubation of multiple startups, and Shadi is an inspiration for students and entrepreneurs everywhere. More about Professor Daya's background. It's a long list as well, so I'm gonna go through it. Shadi received his bachelor's in physics and electronics from the Lebanese University in Beirut, Lebanon in 2001, and PhD in electrical engineering from UC San Diego in 2008. He did the postdoctoral studies at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and then joined the faculty of the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at UC San Diego in November 2012, where he was promoted to associate professor in 2015 and to professor in 2018. He directs the Integrated Electronics and Biointerfaces Lab, which concerns human neurotechnology development and translation, and in the implementation of high-performing electronic material combinations, structures, and devices. During his PhD, Professor Daya received many Best Paper awards for his graduate work. At Los Alamos National Lab, he was appointed as a Director's Fellow and was promoted to a Distinguished Oppenheimer Fellow. He also received the Distinguished Postdoctoral Performance Award. After joining UC San Diego, he received the NSF Early Career Award in 2014, the Jacobs School of Engineering Teacher of the Year Award in Electrical and Computer Engineering in 2015, and ISCS Young Scientist Award in 2018, which acknowledges technical achievements in the field of compound semiconductors by a scientist younger than 40. In 2019, Shadi received the NIH Director's New Innovator Award. Work in his lab led recently to incubating 2 startups, Precision Neurotech Inc., that develops neuromonitoring grids for use during neurosurgical resection in the brain and spinal cord, and Feel the Touch LLC that develops high-resolution shear sensors to close the loop in robotic gripping. Amid his busy workload, Shadi still finds time to give back to Lebanon, the country that he loves dearly. He is currently serving as the community lead for LebNet in San Diego, where he is looking to grow the community knowledge sharing and connection between members. Many congrats, Shadi. We are so proud of your impactful work. Onwards and upwards always.
Thank you so much, Layal, and thank you everyone. I appreciate your kind and generous introduction, and I'm following your steps in leading the community here in San Diego. And we've seen a couple of great examples, Naji, Jill, and Rola, very inspiring. And if every one of us do part of what you do to Lebanon, Lebanon would be truly all right. I'm grateful for the LebNet Awards Committee who saw value in my work, and I'm honored to be recognized with such an impressive cohort of awardees this year. And I know this is just a small sample of what the LebNet community and what the Lebanese community in North America has to offer, as I'm sure there are many very well deserving individuals. I know I nominated one of those, and I was surprised to get the call that I was selected for the award. So for the person who nominated me, thank you so much for putting a word of trust and confidence in me and in my work. And I know he's listening to us today and smiling. This award recognizes the efforts of many individuals. I learned a great deal from all of my colleagues here at LebNet, my team members and mentors, but especially my team who believed in the cause of our work and worked so hard to make the things that we do possible. So this award is credited to their dedication and to their efforts. Much of my story probably aligns with the majority of the members of the Lebanese diaspora. We are a community that's defined by grit. Our accomplishments are not shaped by our circumstances, and we push ourselves beyond the limitations of our fears and the limitations of our abilities in order to deliver. I was also humbled to see in the award citation that I'm an inspiration to students and early in career. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me so that students and early in career can visualize that they truly can do better. As Layal mentioned, I grew up in the Bekaa Valley in a little town called Kfraya, and I've worked through high school and college years in the grape fields for wineries just similar to Jill's and Naji's. There, every morning before sunrise, as we make our way to the fields, the smell of the wine that travels through the fog and fills the valley, this smell still lingers in my nostrils and fills my chest with dignity. I was a first generation college graduate, and I've often felt that I'm not prepared to be in the environments that I got to be in, but I was receptive to learn and prepared to make use of the opportunities that came my way. From my early days as a child until now, everything I do, I did it with a belief that it was my passion, it was my destiny, and I gave it my best. One day, I became the first Lebanese and first Arab to be selected as a distinguished Oppenheimer Fellow at Los Alamos National Lab. And today, my group makes devices that have produced high-resolution images of the brain activity and how these boundaries or the boundaries of these activities shift when the brain is diseased and how it impacts people's lives. My neurosurgery colleagues believe that the devices that are made in my lab at Precision Neurotech will change the way that brain and spinal cord surgery is done and will impact the 13.4 million people who go through this procedure every year. So for the students and those early in career, if that kid in the Bekaa Valley with limited resources could do something that seemed to be making an impact, you can too. Like every other Lebanese, I was and remain attached to my family, my friends, and to my beloved Lebanon. So a few days before I left Lebanon, when I came to the US in 2001, I wrote something that describes this attachment, and I would like to share it with you tonight. It's more like a charge for my trip, written in a simple and short poem, and it goes like this. لوين مسافر يا شاب رايح صوب بلاد الغرب تارك أحباب الضيعة وتارك عندهم كل القلب رايح ومخلي الماضي مفارق أهلك ورفاق الدرب رايح لترجع على الفاضي قوي قلبك وهزون الصعب. ما تنسى بغربتك عيون الصبية الوعي تتلوح لك بمنديل الحب. ما تنسى دموع أمك السخية وعرق التعب عجبين الأب. وقديش بالغربة رح تقول يا خيي وتعصرك الحنية وتتعذب. ارجع يا خيي عارض بلادي تنعود صغار ونرجع نلعب ساحات الضيعة بالجبل بالوادي كل حبة من ترابنا المدهب. So thank you so much again for this great event and congratulations to all the awardees.
يسلم تمك يا شادي.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you. I know your parents are watching. بدي أقول لهم أول شيء الله يخلي لك إياهم والله يخليك لهم يا رب.
Thank you. Same to you and to your family. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations. All right, thank you. We turn now to Karim Atiye to be presented by Eli Habib.
Okay, thank you, Janine. Hello, everybody. My name is Eli Habib. I'm the co-founder of LebNet and been actively working on building the community for the past 22 years. And I'm really, really humbled today to be in the presence of our distinguished award winners, Naji and Jill, with everybody from Canada to San Diego to Lebanon. It has been a fantastic ride so far, and this is very rewarding to be here and to be presenting, especially the next award. I also want to thank Janine for doing a fantastic job. It seems that we cannot keep up with her. We're like constantly listening to podcasts, webinars, this, that. She's a non-stop. But I think one of the biggest accomplishment that we see that we're very excited about is the involvement of women in technology and engaging the younger generation with LebNet. And I hope that LebNet will continue to be this community platform that will grow and prosper for years to come. And I'm really, I want to congratulate Rula for the award, but for a fantastic career. She makes us all proud. And I hope that you will get well and look forward to meeting you one day. And Dr. Daya, congratulations on the award. But Islam Tumma, come in. It's a beautiful poem that comes from the heart that we probably all, when we all left Lebanon, we could have written it, but you speak for all of us, and the words really are very valuable. And so to go to the next award, this is Entrepreneur of the Year, and it's very relevant, and I'm glad that I'm presenting that, because when we started LebNet long time ago, it was all about technology professionals, entrepreneurs in the Silicon Valley. And, this is where a lot of our DNA is right now, but clearly it has evolved beyond where we started. And Kareem has, for his young age, has accomplished his unbelievable amount of success, and I see a very bright future for him, and he's definitely somebody that will inspire generations of Lebanese entrepreneurs for decades to come. And I hope that one day he will be sitting here presenting awards to the younger generation also, and we're proud to have him as member of LebNet. So to say a few words about the award, it recognizes the entrepreneur who is part of a leadership team, a co-founder of a startup, or a founder or a leader of a startup, but that has also been able to reach a milestone like raise money and be able to be on the radar of the US community, investor community. And when you hear what Kareem has done in such a short amount of time, he blew that definition out of the water, basically, as far as I'm concerned. Kareem has graduated from Harvard, BS and an MS, and started a company soon after and sold it to Capital One company called Paribus or Paribas. I don't know which one goes, if it goes by the French word or by the English word, but he actually went through the Y Combinator, the YC program, which in and by itself is an accomplishment for a lot of startups. And the fact that he built it and sold it to Capital One in a short amount of time. And I remember when he did that, we didn't know him at the time. We all thought that, wow, that's a fantastic accomplishment. We should reach out to him and build a relationship with him. Well, here I am presenting an award to Kareem, because he didn't stop there. Soon after he sold that company, he started in 2019, the current one, which is Ramp. And it's a unicorn. In a short amount of time, not only he raised money, not only he built up a company as a CTO, but at the last valuation, they raised so far $620 million. And It's at $3.9 billion at the time of the raise. So I suspect now they are probably way north of that, which is a massive accomplishment. In 2-3 year time frame to build a unicorn of that size is really humbling for a lot of entrepreneurs and for a lot of leaders out there. And we're very excited to give him this award. We're very excited to have him part of LebNet, and I hope that he will stay the course and provide that inspiration to a lot of entrepreneurs, Lebanese or others here, and especially in Lebanon, so that we keep that momentum forward. And so, without further delay, in the name of the LebNet board, LebNet community, we're very excited to present the LebNet by Reem Award to Karim Atiyi.
Thank you, Ali, for this very kind introduction, and for the honor you're making me here. Actually, I don't know if you remember this, but I showed up, I think, almost uninvited at a LebNet event about I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago at this point. And at the time, my brother Mark, who's also now starting a company, was interning with Simon Khalaf before he sold. Maybe that was 2 companies ago to I forgot the name of the company, but he sold it to Yahoo that year, right? That was I think 2014.
Yeah. Yes.
And at the time, just like hearing the stories and meeting the people in the room just made me realize that, well, actually there were a lot more like Lebanese success stories in the US than I had initially realized. And it just like opened my eyes to the possibilities. And at the same time, I just really could not see myself staying in the Valley and staying in San Francisco, and felt a little bit upset that there wasn't, I think at the time, a LebNet presence in New York. It was, Life had a strong presence in New York, and LebNet had a strong presence in San Francisco. And now I was looking through the website, and I see you have a presence everywhere, and there's big presence in New York, except I recently moved to Miami. So I guess we're gonna have to figure out how to build a presence in Miami. And the reason I'm sharing the story is like I was trying to think through some of the I guess events and things related to Lebanon that have shaped me, and I think probably the biggest one that I keep coming to is it just made me sort of in a weird twisted way like love risk and love sort of like trying to like seek contrarian bets, moves, whether it's in personal life or the types of people we're hiring at the company or the industries we're going after. And it's one that in a weird way, I was just like, don't feel comfortable unless I'm taking risk. And I think it's sort of like helped me go through like some of like the toughest moments, like I'm sure a lot of you had to deal with your experience in Lebanon, but I luckily did not have to go through the civil war for a big part of my life. I was actually born in 89. But as soon as I had my first real experience in the US when I was 16, I actually did a summer science program at MIT. That was in 2006, right? So it was during the summer of 2006. The war in the southern Lebanon had started, and I was stuck in the US without a visa. So like my visa was essentially expiring, and I was trying to figure out what to do. And at the time, I remember like my parents in Lebanon, like dealing with all the mess that was going on and me being very worried about them. I remember my mom's only worry was the visa and whether that my chance of like a future outside of the country was essentially going to vanish as a result of this experience. Like that was the only thing she could think about. And like luckily it ended relatively quickly. Went back to Lebanon, saw the parents. This was great. And then 2 years later, I found myself in college. And in 2008, we had this like reading period right before exams and finals, and I felt like I was just more than ready for finals. So I figured I'd go spend some time with the family in Lebanon. I just wanted to spend as much time as I could with my folks back there. And in 2008, again, while I'm there in Lebanon, conflict explodes on the street. The road to the airport is blocked. I can't make it on time to my exams to go back to college. And luckily, the university just gets in contact with someone. They charter a bus and they try to figure out a way to get us out of Lebanon through Syria. And as we're going out of Lebanon through Syria, we get stopped at the border by masked men with guns because at the time, I guess the opposing faction decided they also wanted to do a show of force and decided to block the border to Syria. And I was the only one on the bus who spoke Arabic, and that was, I guess, my time to try and figure out how to get us out of this tricky situation, which I ended up doing, and I ended up, I guess, being relatively cheap in retrospect. And the reason I'm sharing the story is just like, as I think back to these experiences, like I always like remember them fondly because I think they've sort of like made me who I am and enabled me to deal with like some of the toughest situations we've had to deal with at this company, at Ramp, with our families, and I'm sure a lot of you have. And really enough, like I just now just appreciate it and live with it and enjoy it. And I don't think I would be where I am if it weren't for this. So so this and I guess I don't have much more to share on the topic other than like I do think that like as Lebanese people, having gone through some of like the widest parts of like the risk and like enjoyment spectrum, we sometimes get to I guess be more resilient in times of high stress. And I think it's both exciting to see so many Lebanese entrepreneurs succeeding, and also I hope to be able to do like my part in helping many more of them succeed. And I know LebNet has a big part in helping Lebanese people find internships, jobs, and I'm definitely always looking to hire. We've hired a couple Lebanese people on our team, unfortunately not enough in engineering. So I would love to hire more software engineers if you guys can help with that. Anyway, that was just my short backstory on Lebanon. I would be very happy to have any of you in Miami if you're ever visiting. Actually, my first week here, someone who some of you may know, Tony Tamer, actually welcomed me into his home, and it was very nice to know that like almost no matter where you are in the US, there's always a successful Lebanese person who's left Lebanon when they were younger, that sort of shaped the terrain and helped all of us succeed. And I hope to be able to do the same thing for the next generation. And I guess I'll just end by saying, like, I definitely don't think that I deserve this award. I think a lot is still to be done. We've certainly raised a lot of money, but now we have to allocate it and generate big returns and a big outcome from it. I think what we've done so far is incredible, but there's still a lot more to do. And the best comparison that I have to all these runs of fundraising, when people ask me on our team, is like it's kind of like a poker tournament where you just won the tournament and you get to qualify for the next ones. You're still playing the same games, but you're getting a lot more chips. So the risk is higher, but so is the reward. But we hope to be playing, I guess, the same game for a very long time. So very excited about that. And thank you all very much for having me.
Congratulations, Karim. This is wonderful. We wish you all the success going forward. And I just heard from you that you want to lead a LebNet community in Miami and you want to give me internships. So I will be after you. Thank you. Congratulations. All right. And so we moved now to present the award to Yelda, Roy, and Neil, the co-founders of Jobs for Lebanon. I have the honor of doing this tonight. And I want to start by saying you give but a little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. These are the great words of Gibran Khalil Gibran, and they should apply to each one of the Jobs for Lebanon founders. Let me tell you a little bit about each one of these inspiring individuals. Yelda Aukar, aside from being a successful entrepreneur and professional in finance, she is a champion for women's empowerment in tech and finance. Yelda could not be with us tonight because she lives in London, but was excited and grateful to receive this recognition from LebNet. Roy Balade, amongst many other things, is the president of the board of directors for Jobs for Lebanon and CEO for Jobs for Humanity, focusing on global and diverse job creation for underrepresented talent like the blind, the neurodivergent, single moms, Black leaders, and refugees. Roy Balade has also volunteered his time and expertise over the years to numerous causes. His involvement has ranged from digging for water wells and reforesting mountains in Lebanon to working to help incarcerated individuals build skills that help them find employment. Neil El-Jortaou is a social entrepreneur and Jobs for Lebanon Executive Director, leading its overall operations and global growth strategy. She has dedicated her career to turning Jobs for Lebanon into the go-to platform for Lebanese talent looking for economic opportunities. The platform has now reached over 15,000 candidates with close to 4,000 jobs posted and over 1,000 individuals connected to opportunities. Neil is driven by social impact and inspired by people with a heart for a cause, just like her. United by a deep sense of belonging, responsibility, and concern for Lebanon, Yalda, Roy, and Neil co-founded Jobs for Lebanon to provide a platform for the 16 million members of the Lebanese diaspora and global friends of Lebanon to put Lebanese talent to work and help limit Lebanon's brain drain. Their team of 3 quickly turned into a team of 40+ volunteers on a global scale, dedicating their time and passion to the same cause. On behalf of the LebNet board, I present to you this very well-deserved Philanthropist of the Year award. You are an inspiration and a great source of pride to all of us. Congratulations, Yalda, Roy, and Neil, and to the entire Jobs for Lebanon team of volunteers. You give us great hope that with you as her children, one day Lebanon's light will shine bright again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, as you said, Yelda couldn't make it with us, but Roy and myself are going to say a few words. Janine, thank you so much for those words. It's really so touching and heartwarming. And thank you to everyone here. And hearing your stories, you're really exemplary citizens. You're really the type of people that others aspire to become. So I just want to thank you for leading the way. Thank you for inspiring us continually. And thank you for continuing to lift the bar on what it means to be a Lebanese success story. So when a person helps another person in need, it's considered to be humane. When a person dedicates his or her time to supporting others, it could be considered as heroic. But when entire communities come together, bringing a sustainable solution to what seems like an impossible problem, that's considered a movement. Lately, it feels maybe to a lot of us that Lebanon has been, or Lebanese have been coming together and coming into each other's lives as a consequence of the hardship, the crises, the trauma that we're all going through. And it might sound bleak, it might even sound hopeless, but there definitely is a silver lining. Across borders, across nations, across the world, we're coming together. We're joining efforts and we're building a bond. And it's a bond that is extremely powerful because it's really a bond that's driven by passion. And it's a pretty strong force. All of us here love our country, clearly. And very deep down, we do believe that there is something we can do to change the course of its destiny. I do want to say, though, and I think a lot of you agree here, that this victory won't be led by a single individual. There won't be one single hero. I'd like to quote Mother Teresa here. It's a quote that really touched me when I heard it. None of us, including me, ever do great things, but we can do small things with great love, and together we can do something wonderful. Since its creation, Jobs for Lebanon has been just that. A group of dedicated, driven individuals across the world doing things with great love, working collectively towards a common goal. And so today, while we're far from achieving our vision, we have created something wonderful. So I'll give the floor to Roy to elaborate a little bit on a bit of our impact and anything he would like to say.
Thank you. I want to say that Neil and I are here, but in reality, it's 40 volunteers who have been coming in, week out, from around the world, putting this together. And it takes a lot, like when you earn minimal income or no income on this, and then things are tough in Lebanon, or no matter where you come from, and if you stick around for a year and a half, and your goal is to create job opportunities for Lebanese, it's heartwarming. So this is completely for them. We just happen to be people speaking on behalf of them. On March 16th last year, like 3 months after the Thawra, or 5 months after the Thawra, in December is when we had the idea, in March is when we launched. I spoke to George, actually, and I told him, hey, we're launching this thing, and I feel like it's going to have legs. We saw someone get hired the day after the launch. And today, we've had 60, it's not huge numbers, by the way. We're not satisfied. I'm not satisfied. It's small, it's a small token, but it's a start, it's a steady start, it's a scalable start, which is what I love about this. 60,000 expats from 188 countries, from New Zealand to Canada, have logged onto the site, creating 3,500 jobs in all industries. 100,000 Lebanese logged onto the site, 15,000 of them applied. So you have 15,000 full profile. We've had close to 70,000 interviews. 350 of them, we think we can count, have landed jobs. But it's, and basically when you land a job from outside, I hate to use the word fresh dollars, but ultimately it's a big deal. Right now, we're getting about a person a day who's landing a job. Karim, you were mentioning that you want to hire developers. We've got a ton of them, a ton, across all languages, all seniority levels. So one thing that you can do is, if you've got jobs, post them on Jobs for Lebanon. The next frontier is to open up to outsourcing. So if you've got small businesses, or actually if you want to outsource a big project, we're working with entities and SMEs in Lebanon to start to supply that support. And I think we're just at maybe 1% of our potential. Like right now, we're getting 15, 20 jobs a day. I think we can easily get to 2,000 jobs a day. We can easily get to 2,000 jobs a day. And it's not just Lebanese, but it can actually really expand to the rest of the world, because the cost benefit of hiring a Lebanese right now is unparalleled. And so consider posting jobs on Jobs for Lebanon. If you're interested in financial donations, that would also be amazing. It sustains the team. And that's all I wanted to share. And thank you so much on behalf of the Jobs for Lebanon team for this.
Thank you so much, Neil and Roy. Congratulations to the Jobs for Lebanon team as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we come to closing out our event tonight. Thank you all for joining. Congratulations to all the recipients, and happy holidays, and looking forward to working together in 2022.
Thank you, Janine.
Thank you, Janine.
Thank you. Good job, Janine. Thank you.
Congrats,
Thank you
everyone.
so much again.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy
New Year.
Merry Christmas.